Guys, we're at the 2023 Sydney Hot Rod Show. Going to begin this episode at Nostalgia Lane. We're going to start here with some past hot rods that have been shown and raced and displayed over the years. We'll start with this one here. A few things have been changed since the 74 Southern State Rod Run, but quite a bit of it is still intact, I imagine.
What are we looking at? 30A model, I think.
I think it's a 30A model. It looks from the photos that it may have at least a small block Chevy in it. A lot of the running boards and full guards have been taken off it since then. Paint's as it was. Still got the big bias ply tyres, I believe. All drum brakes, very period correct. I imagine it's still full on full New South Wales rego too.
Going by the look of it, I don't know what motor are running in it. Looks like it's a small block Chev or something.
Yeah, from that photo, yeah, if it's for this car, it looks like it's got a small block Chevy.
Chev or Ford, actually. Dizzy at the front or the back? No, Dizzy's at the back, so we've got a Ford motor in there. So a few magazine articles covering it from back in its day. What are we looking at? Rod and Custom, May 1974. So I'm guessing that's when it was in its heyday.
Yep. And I imagine, yeah, that photo there's got it with full guards and running boards and bumper bars. And
we've done the changes over the time, but you can see the old patina and go from old school to this beautiful looking
yeah, good old Norm Longfield strip tee. And when you
well known on the scene, so he's been one of his beats.
Yep. Looking at the signboard here, it basically says it's got a 350 in it, but it's actually a Dodge. It's got two 4-barrel Carter carbs on it and a 471 blower. I didn't even know that Dodges were even in that sort of cubic capacity. It's got the big M&H Racemaster slicks. 9-inch diff and wheelie bars.
Chrome
lots
diff
of
too.
Lots of chrome. Lots of chrome.
Looks good. Red and white.
We've got this fiberglass replica of a C Cab Ford. I think it's a 28. From the description there, it says it's actually a 371 Oldsmobile with a 471 supercharger.
Very rare motor.
And a 4-speed of some type, but
Like as a manual?
yeah.
Yeah, right, look at that.
Independent rear end. I can only assume it might be Jaguar, because I think this might have been finished anywhere in the 79 to 80.
Right. Whiskey cans.
Looking inside this car, the ergonomics of driving it, just getting into it, yeah, you wouldn't take it to the shop. If you're going to be in it, you're going to be in it for a while.
I'm going to go far with those tyres there in the rain. Put the slips on there and no front brakes, so it should be a bit of a wild ride, I reckon.
Oh, definitely.
It should be a fun ride. That's the cool thing about it.
Yeah, it looks like you can uncap the exhaust and run on a magneto. Very unique car.
This one here's got some interesting history. I was with it yesterday there. So we've got photos of it in about 1965 drag racing. And it's just, they're on the back. I'll show you this soon.
It was also shown at the Hot Rod Show, Victorian Hot Rod Show in 1965.
That would have been one of the very first ones, I'm assuming, back then.
Oh, it'd have to be pretty close. Pretty close. We're running a 221 cubic inch 1940 Ford side valve, which I imagine was a massive upgrade. 3-speed. Actually has hydraulic brakes And 16-inch wheels. We're now used to like 22s, 24s. I remember when 17s were something special.
That's it. These old photos are just great to see.
It's a piece of history, and especially if it still runs and drives, yeah. Was it from Ballarat?
I think that seems to be raced.
Don't get too excited.
Yeah.
I think it was.
No, I don't think you'd actually want to restore this. You'd take all the history out of it.
That's for sure. It only looks this way once, mate. So
Yeah. That's it. Oh, look at that. If the clutch blows, it's going to hit you in the face.
You're definitely going to know about that, aren't you?
No scatter shields here. Oh.
All right, let me just check it.
It's got quite a history, this one. Taken many guises, and he's got the history laid out around the car. I believe basically it's got a very low mileage 289 in it. Been through quite a few owners, originally from Queensland. Restored into this beautiful colour, beautiful stance. Got the 3 period correct carburetors on it. Just a great colour, new chrome. I think he spent 15 years chasing up era correct parts, or parts that may have been on this car. Originally a highboy when it was in Queensland, but yeah, lots of history in this car and all documented. Yeah, it's originally a red highboy roadster in Brisbane in the 60s. Now we've got a 1934 Ford sedan here, sporting the super tough, super torquey 351 Cleveland, twin 600 Hollies. It's got a Jag rear end. That's got a C6 auto. That's a pretty heavy duty auto for something like this. It's taken the owner about 5 years to build it. Crazy comfortable looking interior. Beautiful black paint.
You know when it was
Beautiful.
built?
I think last 5 years or so.
Oh, so it's a fairly recent build.
Well, it doesn't really say whether it's a restoration of the original restoration.
I'd say going by that interior.
Yeah. Alright, we're fair way into this episode. We've started here in Nostalgia Lane and a bit out of my depth with this sort of car, so I'm going to hand it over to someone who's probably a lot more qualified, knows the terms, probably most of the motors, and probably a little bit more attractive. I will be starting my own Rebel YouTube channel, but here we go, Sandra Horn.
Thanks, Jamie. Jamie's actually talked it up a little bit more than what he actually probably could have then. Let's give it a go. We'll have a bit of a walk around and see what's here in Nostalgia Lane. I've only just got to the show this morning, so I've only had a very, very quick look. We were out and about seeing Sydney yesterday with some of the other guys and girls from New South Wales and Victoria. So yeah, here we are. So obviously Nostalgia Lane, they focus on this year, I think, is a lot of the Australian history of cars that, you know, have been built in, you know, the 60s. I think most of them here are the 60s, 70s and going up there, or anything that's that sort of period style. So we've got cars like this one here. Little tea bucket here, looks like it is originally fabricated from a tea bucket, but the taillight treatment on this one is, you know, back then you couldn't go to, you know, the internet obviously, or a speed shop. There really wasn't a lot of, you know, aftermarket parts available, so you really built what you could get. And obviously we've got, you know, XR taillights in there, the Falcon taillights by the looks of it. You know,
Mustang fuel cap?
Yeah, it looks like a Mustang fuel cap. So, you know, these were times when, yeah, you had to make things yourself and make things work. You couldn't just go out, you know, Rod Tech and go and buy a new front end or anything like that. You had to order stuff if you could get it or make it yourself. So, not sure what the dash is out of there. It looks like maybe something 50s. So, yeah. So it's cool to see that they actually bring together these cars, and it seems to be, you know, XP. Yeah, they look like Falcon hubcaps. You know, that was the best thing you got from mag wheels. You chromed a set of, you know, Steelies and put on a set of hubcaps. But I noticed that the Adelaide show, they're actually doing they're going like, you know, prior street machines. So it seems to be the nostalgia seems to be what everyone does seem to be focusing a lot. And when you see it on Facebook, you do see that how well that takes off. So Greg is filming this 55 Thunderbird that we've got here. You can see it looks like it's been rolled straight out from the barn. We've got the bonnet open here as well, so you can check it out with the Y block in there. So just reading some of the stuff off the board that they've got here. This was featured in Custom Rodder in 1968, it was. And you can see some of the little features that obviously have been made there. It looks like he's made a set of thrush pipes there, 19 sort of 60s style there he's put on the sides there. And obviously the mag wheels he's got on there as well. And as Greg would have come around the back, you would have seen the taillights. He's changed the taillights in there and put those exhaust mods on there. I mean, obviously beautiful car to start off with anyway, a Thunderbird. So there isn't too much you can change on them, but to hot rod them back in the day. But they've done those few mods, and I think they've even Frenched the aerials on the back there as well. I saw someone's giving that a good rev over there. So pretty cool car that someone's obviously dragged out. Looks like it hasn't been driven in a very long time. I'd love to know a bit more of the history of it.
Definitely a barn find.
Definitely a barn find, but it's cool to see some of these cars that, you know, haven't been into a show for many, many years. He's got, like I said, the feature from when it was in the magazine, but not the details of where it's been all these years. He's got his little rat and his snake hanging out the side there. I don't know what barn he's pulled that out of. So Dean and I were actually supposed to be bringing Dean's new car this weekend, but unfortunately, as this sometimes happens, we get let down with some parts that didn't arrive in time. So rather than leave a spot empty at the show, we have brought up our 39 Willys coupe. Obviously 41 is normally what you see a lot of. You don't see too many with a 39 front sheet metal. So this is ours. We didn't build the car. It was built here in Sydney and then sold up to Queensland when then we purchased it. It did used to have some different sign writing on it, but we had Ryan Ford repaint it because we sort of wanted that really early period style type of race paint for it to make it look like a gasser. And obviously you can see on the rear quarter panels there we do have Ford Motor Company because it is a Y-block powered car, so we wanted a little bit of a touch to sort of say, you know, what sort of power it had in it. So it is just a little stroked Y-block in there, manual, so nothing too over the top power wise, but certainly has that unique Y-block sound. And we don't really plan on changing anything with it. It is quite basic inside. It's we want it to look like that it has just literally rolled out of a barn and been hot rodded and keep it nice and period. So yeah, definitely no show car, and but we think it suits the sort of era of the show here for Nostalgia Lane. So yeah, it's a very cool build that the original owner put together, and yeah, we definitely have no regrets buying it. We love it. is quite fresh down here, so if you see me crossing my arms trying to keep warm, suffering in silence here. So a lot of Victorians would know Mick Jabber. He has owned this coupe for many, many years now. You'll see in the articles there it was built by Graham, I'm pretty sure you say his last name would be Blabby. And there it is, the feature there from Australian Street Rodding back in 1979. So Mick has driven this car quite a bit, and it's obviously running the original paint that it had, so I don't think he's really got much intention of changing it. I think, he's happy with the way the car looks, and it's one of those ageless cars. It really, I like the patina on it, you know what I mean? Like, it is a great looking car, and certainly well driven throughout the southern states. So Mick's brought it up here. It looks like it's won an award down there at the front. They've obviously done the trophies yesterday. And another well-known Victorian car that's been around a long time too is Roy Friggin's car. So Roy has passed away, and his daughter Joanne, she's heavily involved with the ASRF. So she's brought the car up here this weekend. I believe she had it at the Nationals that were a few months ago, left up in here in Sydney, and she's brought it here this weekend. So yeah, this car's been around for a very, very long time, and Roy was heavily involved in the Victorian Hot Rod Show for a long time as well. So he was quite a well-known figure down here in Victoria with the work he did in the shows back in the day. So yeah, this car was built. Let's have a look. So as I said, he was in the VHRA committee member from 1969, and they run the Victorian Hot Rod Show, which hopefully is coming back. It doesn't actually say. Does it say what year he actually built it? It's been a hot rod for a long time. There we go. This roadster was first built as a hot rod in 1953 with a 1932 chassis. It was T-boned by a tram in 1954 and rebuilt with a 1934 chassis, then registered in March 1957. The car was purchased by Roy Friggin in July '66 for $450. Roy frequently raced it with a blown 350 Chev and drove it regularly. The roadster is now proudly in the care of his daughter Joanne Friggin. So yeah, it's been a hot rod. I knew it had been one for a very, very long time. And one of the things I love about these early channel hot rods, like I said, when you had to make things yourself, I love when they made their own Nerf bars like that. They really do look really cool. But yeah, so it's definitely a survivor, Roy's car, and it's great that that Joanne's definitely still got that interest in it, and brings it out to a show like up here. So well done, Joanne. It's good to see. So another well-known rodder who's been a hot rodder forever is Ronnie Williams. I haven't seen Ronnie here, so hopefully he is somewhere here. And I had seen on Facebook that this had been repainted. So originally this car was built by Ronnie. It is now owned by Brett and Annette Williams. And as the board, you can see here, it says 3-generation family-owned hot rod and Dragons car. So Dragons are a club that has been around in Sydney, I think, since like the mid-60s. Like, so this is... And Ronnie is a founding member of the Dragons. So these guys have been at it for years. And if you've ever heard of Valor Rod Run, they actually run Valor, Rattle Trap. So quite a few really cool events that these guys run. Great club, great guys and girls in there. So reading from the board, a little bit of history about the car. 1966, Ronnie swapped a 34 sedan for this Model A Roadster Ute. We've got some photos here of it at Bankstown Hot Rod Show, fitted with a flathead V8 at Roseland Show. 1970, he's got Brett, which is the current owner at 18 months of age, sitting here on the car, and some photos of it at Valor in 1988, and yeah, a little bit more history of it there. But Ronnie's raced this car and everything. Like, he is a bona fide hot rodder through and through. So it's good to see it here. Because like the last time I seen it, it certainly didn't look this way. It's good to see it here, and hopefully Ronnie is, I know he's been a little bit unwell lately, so hopefully he's feeling good, and I'm sure he's rapt to see the car back in this condition again, and very proud of his family for being involved. So this is Shorey's 27T Tourer, and again a very, very well-known car. This was one of the only cars that went to every Hot Rod Nationals up until when Shorey unfortunately passed away. It was a big shock when he passed away, and he was an extremely well-liked hot rodder. Everyone who knew Shorey, he was instantly... You could chat to Shorey for half an hour. He was one of the loveliest people that you could ever meet, and always happy to have a yarn. So, you know, you can have a cool car, but, you know, if you've got that personality that goes with it too, it certainly, you know, leaves that lasting legacy. And again, Shorey's kids, well, obviously they're grown-up kids now. You know, they own the car, and you do often see the car still out and about in Victoria quite a bit. Shorey was in the Thunderbird, so that's why the club's obviously been around a long time in Victoria as well. So, yeah, I mean, to have this engine combo, you know, as long as what Shorey did, was certainly a rare thing. You don't, you know, having a blown engine in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you know, was a huge amount of money to spend on a car like this. You can see all these T-shirts here. I started doing this. Mine's not quite as neat as this. Some of these car T-shirts that they've made into like a car cover, or in this case a mat, is pretty cool as well. Some of these rod runs I have been to. 1995 Two Bay Rod Run. There we go. That's a rod run that you don't see anymore, that the Bay Rodders used to run. Some good memories here with some of these T-shirts. And here's some of the photos there. You can see Shorey, he was on that board at the front, and then you can see it here as well, some of the different events that he took it to. like I said, all them nationals, different shows that it was in. You know, he's obviously used to race it as well. And it used to be white here, and it's had a few different lives here in some of these pictures. So again, it's really cool to see these cars that, you know, you don't even really want to see them get repainted because they've got so much history there of, you know, so many memories I'm sure that this family have enjoyed. It does say here 2005 would be the last Nationals Ian would attend. In 2007 the car would be remembered at the 18th Nationals. Like I said, it was a really big shock. When Shorey passed away, he went out. I think the story was he was mowing his lawns and he just passed away and then he was gone. So yeah, it's sent a big ripple wave through the car scene when everyone heard. So only the good die young, as they say. So pretty cool here to see Wayne Crumlin's tea bucket back out and about. Obviously very, very cool, well-proportioned tea bucket here. Spindles on the front, obviously huge tyres in the back. The board's telling us it's got a 327 Chev in it, and it was built in the late 70s. So again, Wayne had, I think he did tell me how many kilometres it had done the other day, because we were out yesterday out and about on our little escapades around Sydney. He did tell me how many Ks it's done, but it was a well-driven car he used to drive. No roof. I did say to him, did you ever have a roof? And he said no. He said because he didn't want to change the windscreen. So obviously to do that, he would have had to straighten up the windscreen. And it does suit the car. So I believe it's been a few years since the car has been out here at, or been driven for a few years now. So Wayne has pulled it out this weekend for the show. And he's well known, obviously he has a 34 coupe as well that he does get out and about in. So yeah, it's nice to see that. And a lot of people do say, and I think Wayne would agree, it is probably one of the best looking tea buckets in Australia. So, and I would tend to agree, it is very, very cool. So cool to see Wayne's car out and about here at the Hot Rod Show.